vill välkomna Sattar till ett riktigt spännande föredrag om Agile Awareness. Sattar är en senior profil som har jobbat väldigt länge med agilitet och organisationer och även påbörjat doktorandstudierna inom agilitet och organisationer. Så vi ser fram emot en väldigt trevlig föreläsning. Så varsågod. Över till dig, Sattar.
Tack Michael. Tack så mycket. Kanske jag börjar med dela min screen här. Today my idea is to talk about the culture and high performance organization. And I think it's this topic have been more in focus the last decades. The agenda is, my idea is to start with background, to give you some background, and then talk about the old industrial organization, and then the Agile Organization. What are we meaning by the Agile Organization? Then we talk about what we mean by culture or Agile culture. We hear that very often, Agile culture, but what that means? Then how we transform the old industrial organization to Agile Organization. And we talk about the process, what we need to focus on. It's very basic. So this is my idea of the agenda for today. If we start to have a question to the leaders, what is ideal organization? Do you think about? So it's the most leaders or the most people who have the leading positions will say, okay, I want my organization to have using the innovation process. I need my teams to be very creative. We need to have some organization structure that eliminate all the waste of time between phases or between activities. We need to have teams capable to solve all the problems very efficient way. We don't need to have very detailed plans. My teams need to be self-organized, so I don't need to be very involved with to lead my teams. If you have many teams, if your organization can be a middle or big organization, so it's very useful to have self-organized team. They are organized themselves. They can capable to solve all the kinds of problems without having direct supervising. We need to have a feedback. We need to develop product that's cover the customer needs. We need to have very short products to the market. So it's we call lean time. All the organization, of course, need to be flat organizations, not hierarchy. So the old industrial organization, they are producing some products. If they are automotive, or they are in life science or productions parts, the characteristics of their organization is have hierarchy structure, like the picture. They have some kind of silos. I mean, department, and each department is almost isolate from the other department. They have also what we call it linear step by step. The work process is divided by phases. They are the life cycle. They have all the activities need, it's called sequence activities or linear sequence activities. It's mean we need to finish some activities and phases to jump to the next activities. The roles is also may have be duplicated, and so you have the same role in many departments or many silos, and the decision making need to have to be approved from the manager to move to take a decision all the time, and may the supervisor need to have the okay from his supervisor, and so on. So it's, the decision making can take long time to be approved. The focus it will be in the production. It means that you have all the focus and the concern will be we produce, and how fast we produce. And they are also was moving to have a standardized product. It's mean that we have a standard and trying to the customer to have to use our standard in somehow. So all the solutions in somehow are standardized. And we have some weak customer focus that the customer have been meet in the start of the production and gave his wish and requirement. Then we develop, then we deliver according to this requirement. So this is a very traditional industrial oriented organization, and of course the managers or the people who have the most experience in the organization, they are drawing the strategy, they are drawing the design, the plan, delivery plan, the project plan, how the structure, work structure will be, and so on. So they all top down controlled. Now the world has changed. The last 30 years, it have been more technologies comes to the world, have been the competitors be very, very harder. The customer have new demand, new markets needs, partnership have been more common. So in order to these companies can be more competitive, they try to have more flexible structure and be more innovative and work more efficient. So what they need to have is the new structure to meet all these changes in the market and the new technology. At the same time, they need to improve their products, ongoing products. They need to improve the new products to be competitive and to adopt a new technology in their products. And you know, it's very, very high demanding on new technology now. The structure of the organization need to be flexible, so you can change your structure to be more flexible to meet the changes of the market, to meet the new organization, to meet the new demand of your partner. In the same time, you need to have good communication between the customer to understand what the customers need. So you need to develop a new communication channels, both internally and externally. So all these kind of new factors in the market, in the customer's behavior, the new technology. We need to have a new kind or new type of organization. And one of these new types called Agile organizations. Um, so, um, and it has been very, very popular the last decades. Before we are jumping in, what's the Agile organization? I just need to give you a very short, maybe you know it, but very short, what's Agile philosophy about? Agile philosophy actually, it's about iterative process. That means you build the process step by step. It's called incrementally. I mean, instead you are designing and designing and implement and test and show the whole product to your customer. You all the time build your product piece by piece, small batches, and show the customer and get feedback and develop it more and so on. So it's repeating the same process and build the same product incrementally. I mean, you are adding each time more functions, more features to your product. This is the idea of the agile. So you have shorter production cycles, you have small batches, and in the same time, you have very short feedback cycle, because you are showing all the time in the end of each sprint, you are showing your customer and you get feedback, and you are taking this feedback in concern and trying to adjust your way of working and your product goal until you have the final product. So the release date and the quality is fixed, because you have the release date is sprint, is each 4 weeks, and the quality also is fixed. We are talking about what's called the triangle of project: quality, date, and scope. So the quality and the date is fixed because we already decided when we are releasing the product, and the quality is inside the process, but the scope is changing. So we're welcoming the changes all the time. So you can change your backlog, you can change your goal all the time. So it is variable, it's not fixed. This is about Agile. I'm not going in details what's the Agile process or what we mean by sprint, and because I know most of you know a lot of it, but I'm focusing in Agile organization and culture. So in very short way, what is Agile? Agile is about mindset. It's not about the ceremonies. It's about mindset, how you think Agile. It's not what you are doing. It's about how you think, how you assume your work. This is first of all, it's mindset. It's not what you do. It's not to be in stand-up or you doing sprint planning. It's saying not much to us. It's how you think, how you to be as Agile. It's about mindset, and it's about the way to behave. The Agile, it's about the interaction between individuals, because we are working a lot as a team, and it's very, very important that we have the team spirit all the time in the organization and then in the team. Agile is how to solve the problem, and you have your goal in mind. Agile, it's mean self-organized team. So the decision making in the team, within the team. So the team, the Agile team, take the decision. They don't need to have approved from the managers because they have all the capacity to take the decisions directly to solve the problem because they know best. For sure, they need to have some lines from managers and strategies, but in short terms, they need to take the decision in the team. Agile, it's about to take very shorter cycles, and all the time we take the consideration of the customer feedback. So we need to have all the time to have a customer dialogue with the customer, and we develop according and adjust our direction according to the customer, because what our goals in the end is to develop something very valuable to the customer. So this is our goal. So that's why we consulting all the time the customer and the customer's needs. And Agile, it's not to be afraid from changes. It's a try and error. So all the team needs to learn to take the steps to try new things and new technologies and new solutions, and to show the customer. And for sure, it's about time-focused process, because we are it's very effective because we are using all the time time boxes in our process. It's sprint, and so we are all the process is time boxed. So this is what is Agile in general. Now, some of you thinking, okay, why is Agile have been very popular the last decades? Why now it's small and middle big companies and big companies adopting Agile? What's a thing that people like Agile? Why is that? Because it's easy, because the market is dynamic. Now the markets have very competitive markets, and a lot of markets changing a lot. The customers' needs also changing all the time. The customers' focus, the customer demanding changing. The organization need to have very fast and rapid response and flexibility, because the demanding, the market is changing all the time, the technologies have changing all the time. So the organization structure need to be flexible, so we can adopt and take new new strategies all the time. So that's our the goal, to be more flexible. And one of the most important things that the Agile is have the quality within their process. So it is more controlled in process. So the quality, like lean, total quality management, Six Sigma, it's the principles of them and the philosophy of them is already impact in the Agile process. So this is a very important topic also. The customer, as I told you before, the customers are involving all the time in the process. So we are focusing a lot in customer satisfaction, that we are all the time have dialogue with the customer, what's the need, and trying to have very transparent dialogue and feedback about the product and the process. The last thing, it's about the team itself. The team itself, they have, the Agile team need to have more, we call cross-functional team. That's one individual can do many things at a time. So you can work across the organization, and you can also be used by other teams. So this is very important thing also. So it's, you have all the competence within the team. So you need, in the old fashioned organization, we have like one person's, as example, they have called an database developer. We have one that's called designers, and so on, one tester, one testing people, and so on. But in cross-functional teams, an agile team, you can do all these in the same team. So you can design, develop, testing, doing database in the same team. So you don't need to send your work to other department or other silos to be developed and waiting it comes back. It's some kind of wasting time. Now we come to agile organization. What do we mean by agile organization? Well, what's the difference from the traditional organization and the agile organization? Agile organization, first of all, is flat structure. So it's not hierarchy, it's flat. It's mean you have you don't have a lot of managers that's reporting to their managers, that reporting to their managers, and it would be very, very hierarchy structure. It's very flat, so you can take your decision by in the team, and for sure you need to, sometimes you need to have approval from your managers, but you have the roadmap, you have the strategies, so you know what you're what are you doing. And the agile team take responsibility of their own decisions, and they own the task. What does that mean? When you are doing the agile team, where they are doing the work and take the stories from the backlog and the task, the individual own the problem or the task, and all the team is responsible for the problem solutions. So that's why you need each individual in the agile team feel he or she is responsible to give the best solution and to have this task done and within the time box. In the same time, you can move the individual within the team, the agile team, or can restructure the team both horizontally and vertically in the organization. So you can move people, and you can redesign the team depending on your product. We have also some clear rule people. I mean, the titles in Agile Organization, there are not many at a traditional organization. We have not many titles, and each title or role, they have very defined task. So we defined the role and the description of each title very clear. like Scrum Master, Product Owner, development, and so on, Agile Coach. So it's well defined. So this is so we trying to minimize the redundant in that case. In some traditional organizations, they have a lot of uh, people that doing the same thing, but they have different titles, and sometimes they are doing the same task, but they don't know they are doing the same task in the same time because they are in different departments or in different parts of the organization. But in fact, they are doing the same thing in different name. So this is we are trying to minimize or limit it in our agile organization. Um, uh, all organization, it's we call it an organic organization. It's very flat and it's very small pieces of organization, so you can have more flexible in that. As I told before, we trying to the process of this organization is more rapid, very fast iteration, and we get very shorter feedback from the organization. We trying to have learning organization. What that mean, learning organization? That's mean the organization who can take advantage of the success stories and the fail stories also. We trying to have both the success and the failures also. I usually, when I was working as a Agile coach, trying to have a seminars once a month to have people talk about their success stories and the failure stories. Why this didn't work as we thought, and what we learned from that. What's the learning lessons? So I think it's very important because you are sharing the knowledge. Okay, we are succeed in that because we did 1, 2, 3, and we are failed in this task because of we did 1, 2, 3. So it's we are analyzing why we are succeed and why we are failed in some parts. I think it's very important, and let us everyone hear about it. So you have some lessons to learn, and you can reuse the same case in the future. So it is about learning organization, and usually this agile organization have we call some communities. We like communities in agile organization. So you may have a lot of communities like UX designers community, C++ community, all Scrum Master community, product owner community, the project management community, and try to these people who have the same task to meet and to share their concern, to share their knowledge, to update the knowledge, maybe the tools they coming with new tools, maybe sharing the learned lessons, what we have failed, why we are succeeding in that. So I think it's very useful as well. I usually focusing in that and try to create many communities that are meeting once a month or every 2 weeks, just to have some coffee break and sharing some ideas, thoughts, concern, to learn if you have a problem in the same domain, so you can learn from others how to solve it, or maybe to get inspired to how to solve this problem in that in or this. So this matters. So I think it's very useful. So this is the learning organization is part of the culture also, trying to establish this learning organization by learning from lessons from what we did and sharing knowledge. For sure, the Agile organization also need to have the latest technology and innovation. That's why each organization should have some kind of innovation center or innovation team that's gave people what's the latest in the markets, what our competitors have to do, and to get all the time updated in the world. One of the most also important thing that's, and especially in big companies, that's focused in the strategy or the whole picture, the big picture, is very important. That's why we need to all the time to educate our employees. What's our goal? What's our strategy? Where are we going in the future? Why we do this? Why we take this steps? So it's very important to give all the employees the big picture about what's going on in the organization. The quality and trust. One of the most important thing in Agile organization is the quality. The quality. As I said before, the quality in Agile organization or Agile work process is included in each step of the process, is not in the end. When you are build the process, you are just testing or see. No, we are include the quality in each process in Agile. As example, definition of done or definition of delivery. You need to define what is acceptable to move to next step. So what I'm, you know, when you are working in a story, or you are working in Kanban, when you move the story from one column to another, so you need to have well-defined definition. It's called definition of done or definition of delivery. In the end, when you are done to deliver the product, what is the criteria of the quality? So it's very important that each step we have the quality. It's more important that. And the other thing is about transparency. We are trust the team. So each individual in the team trust each other, and we are trusting the product owner, and our product owner trusts the customer, and so on. So it's ultimate. It's a culture of trust, and we need to tell what we are think about without to be afraid. That's why we are doing some retrospective, and we trying to give what we are feeling or how the process is, without to be afraid from the product owner or Scrum Master or our managers. Or it's just to be transparent and to share what you're feeling, what your thoughts with others, and try to have some solutions if there's some problems to solve it. So it's very important about sharing and about trust. So I think it's very important. Now we are talking about culture. Agile culture. What do I mean by agile culture? But before we jumping in agile culture, I think we need to define what we are meaning by culture, and give you some background. First of all, each organization is unique. So you cannot have the culture that's as a standard, because the culture should power the operating working model. So each organization is unique because they are the people they are working in, the technology they are developing, the national culture is also affecting. So let's try to have this in mind. Each organization is unique as a company. And cultural definition, there's a huge number of cultural definition. When I was in doing my PhD, I did a lot of studies, the books and articles, literature studies, and I found out 135 different definition for culture. What are we meaning by culture? Because it's very different. It's very different how we define culture, because it's about nations, the religious have different culture, social classes, generation, between men and women, minorities, professional culture, organization culture, and organizations can be many type of brands also. So it's very common that we have a lot of definition for culture. But one of the famous scholar, it's called Hofstede, he defined it's a collective programming of the mind which distinguish the member of one human group from another. So this is, I think, the most common and popular definition for culture. So culture, as I see it, it's affecting our behavior, but it's many factors that's like values, knowledge, attitude, norms, habits, social conventions, all these working together to design our behavior. And it's often some of these are implicit and some of these are explicit. So it's some of these we have heritage from our families, from our culture, national culture, and some of these we are learning from schools, we are learning from our work. So it's very. I will not going in these details, but in this context, I think it's a set of many indicators. We are talking about the culture in our context. I mean, in our software developing methods. So it's, in my opinion, it's these indicators like leadership style, communications, decision-making style. We are talking about the organization now. Performance standard, national culture is very important. That's affecting the culture. Consequence of failure. We are talking about failure lessons, what we are learning from past. Feeling, reacting, how we feel, the dynamic of the groups, how the technology is used. It's very different from one organization to another organization, how we use the technology. As in, we take as example the chat program, and you may use it in some way. You chat with your colleagues to sending some files or some but if you are like in hospital or maybe in another demand, it's may used very different if we are using the same chat program. So it's different use in the same technology. So that's why it's how we need to take it in concept. So this is all these indicators is shaping the culture in your organization. So you are all these. That's why I'm saying it's unique. So each organization have these indicators different from another organization, and they may have working in the same domain. So it's very difficult. What we are meaning by agile culture, when people talking about, okay, we need to have agile culture, what's the mean of that? And usually people don't understand what the agile culture is. We mean by, when we're saying, okay, this organization have the agile culture, it's mean there's no hierarchy, it's a flat organization, all the team are a self-organizing team. They are very respecting the deadline. The people are open to each other. I mean, they are speaking out what they are feeling without no fear from the consequences. They also they are direct. I mean, you can go to your manager and say what you think, what you're feeling, without to be concerned from what's happening next. Each team is very easy to start, so we can start a new teams very easy because you have the competence, we have the ceremonies, and people know how to work together, so it's very easy. And the decision is taken by consensus. It's mean all the team need to have the same. They are agree in this matter or the solutions, and that's why also it is in agile when our sprint planning, when you have we have sometimes disagree about the point of the story. Says like I said, this story take 2 days, and another one says, okay, it's take in half day. Then, okay, when we are voting, it's okay. So I'm explaining why I think it's 2 days, and the others explain why it's take half days. And in the end, we may come together to some solution. Okay, we agreed to have like 1 days instead for 2 days or half day. So it's consensus in the decision making. We need to have the same thoughts. That's we agree in some in the middle. And we in agile culture, we are focusing a lot in face-to-face meeting. We don't like to document a lot. We like to meet face-to-face. That's why we working together. We are sitting together, and we are very close to each other. We talk a lot. We don't chat, or we trying to avoiding chat, or trying to avoiding sending mail, because in my opinion, it's very easy to talk to the people face to face and share your emotion with them and talk to them directly without trying to formulate a message. A long message could be misunderstandable. So it's very important that we're sitting together, and even our bosses they have open doors rooms, so you can go to your supervisor or your manager and talk to him or to her directly and say, okay, I need help or whatever. So you are not afraid to that. It's very, very flat organization. And in our also agile culture, it's about customer. We putting the customer in the middle. We are focusing a lot on the customer. We are trying to improve our relation with the customer. All the time we have open dialogue with the customer. All the time we are visiting the customer, or the customer being part of the developing process. The customer sitting in the demo. We have demo in the end of each sprint. So all the time we have this kind of dialogue. Okay, now we are talking about the transformation process, how to transform from the hierarchy and picture, the hierarchy organization, the traditional way of organization, to agile organization, which is more like cell. It's more flat organization. So people often think it's okay. We are in agile transformation process. It's very easy, or we are doing some kind of focusing in the ceremony of stand up and sprint planning, and so it's about, so if my organization have stand up every morning, or my teams have the sprint planning, or they are using Jira or something like that, that means we are agile. I say no, it is not. You are not getting to agile if you are doing these ceremonies. We as transformation leaders or agile coaches, we are focusing a lot in mindset and the culture. We are not focusing a lot in ceremonies, because as I told you, to do agile is not about to be agile. It's very different, two things. So to be agile, you can do all the ceremonies, but to think agile, you need to have mindset. You need to have the agile culture in your organization. This is very important. What I mean by mindset, it's how you believe in your action, how you think you're agile. We take the values of the agile principles and use it. This is what I mean. It's very important that the management structure also have the team-based mindset. It's been some of the management in big companies are using agile methods, but their mindset is still in traditional, old-fashioned organization structure. So this can be very clash between the management and the teams, because the teams sometimes working in agile way, and they use the agile methods, but the management side, they are still thinking in an old-fashioned management way, and so it will be a mismatch between the management and the teams, because an agile, it's a process. So you need to have agile budget, you need to have agile plan, agile mindset to be, and agile practices to be an agile organization. You cannot do agile and you use as example traditional budget, because we have called an agile budget, agile thinking, and so on. And at the same time, I think it's a very important thing that the leaders or the management, they need to understand what is agile. Then they learn out the agile to their employees. It's very important. So often we are starting our agile transformation process by learning, coaching the management, and teach them to be servant, agile leader mindset. So it's very different to be boss and to be agile leader. It's different style, management style. So you need to be more agile leader It's been more showing the way of working, trying to help them to solve the problem, not solving the problem, show them the way to solve it, trust them, not give them orders, and so on. So it is different style, leadership style. So usually, when we are trying to helping organization to be transformed from traditional way to agile, we are focusing in mindsets and values. We're not focusing in tools and process. So if that's the agile schools onion agile model, so it's in the heart of it. It's called tools like Jira, or what's the kind of tools we are using and way of working. Then the practices, it's what kind of what are you using, Scrum, Kanban, XP, what's the methods that we are using. Then principles, and we have some 12 principles on Agile, the values of Agile, and the mindset and the culture in the top of it. So the easy part is tools and practices. It's very easy part of it, but we as Agile coaches focusing in mindsets, values. So you need to be agile, not doing agile. So this is our focus, and it's take time and take efforts to change the mindset and the culture of organization, because you need to change the values, you need to change the habits, you need to change the norms of each organization. So we are as Agile coach, we focusing in mindsets, behavior, and then organization process and tools and ceremonies. And we checking if you have good stand up, or you have very good sprint planning or retrospective and so on. So we are focusing in these kind of things. First, mindsets, culture, behavior, behave like agile leader, behave like individual and agile team, and so on. So it's but in the same time, some practices we are focusing on also. To be an agile organization, try to have everyday stand up. You have in general backlog that you are using it. You need to sit together. You need to show where we are burn down charts, or some Kanban boards, so showing the process, visualize the process. Retrospective, you need to have retrospective, not just to have retrospective. You need to follow up the old one. So it's very, very important that you have. Okay, I need to summarize because the time is now almost. We need to have a vision. We need to have clear principles. We need to involve both employees and the customers in the process. Try to focus to have feedback cultures, both from the customer and from your employees. So you have all the time feedback, so you can adjust your feedback. And the last things, trust your team. Trust your team. You need to trust our employees. So what we are need to learn, we need to learn from the problem, what's our goals, and doing things better, faster, efficient. Okay, not looking the motivation of the employees. Try to help them to be more innovative, and learn problem solving, not to solve the problem. Show them how to solve the problem, the way. Gandhi says we must become the change we want to see. So it's a start from yourself. Don't wait someone else to help you to change, make the changes that you want. Start today from yourself. Okay. I will, if there's any attention to have another seminars about the future organization, I think we don't have time now. So we can talk about data-driven organization or data-driven culture if there's an interest. So we can have seminars in the next months about them if there's any interest. Questions, for sure, can write your questions to me, Sattar at Synteda, and I will try to answer you as soon as possible. Thank you for your time, and please give me your feedback. Send me an email or some feedbacks.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Sattar. It was really a good, nice seminar. Talking about the agile way of working, it's everything about not only being practical, more a mentality. What is your experience from working in a big organizations such as the Ericsson, Volvo Cars, etc.? Please, just a few words about that.
My experience is that often the big organization, they are focusing in the practical things like in the ceremonies and the artifacts, but in the facts, they're needing to focusing more in mindsets, because we are trying to coach the managers and trying to coach the people how to be agile, how to think agile, how to be from the top level to the team's levels. So we are working across all the organization vertically to have to try to be more efficient. So our focus try to understand the values of agile, the philosophy of agile, not focusing in the ceremonies. Ceremonies is very easy part, as I showed in slide. It's about 20%. The 80% it will take time and take efforts to changing the mindset, changing the culture of the organization, trying to have learning organization, trying to have feedback culture, learning culture. We are not afraid from each other. We are sharing our knowledge and experience with others. This is very, very important thing that I think that we need to focus on.
Thank you very much again. The questions, we will send it forwarded to you for sure. We are really happy to have you here talking, and we look forward to the next seminar, the data-driven organization, what it means in the agile way of working, which is, I think, becoming more and more of interest. So thank you again, Sattar, for today, and everyone else that is listening or watching us. Please follow us at synteda.com, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much.